right, we are live. Hello and welcome to today's weekly Animatron webinar. As always, I'm your personal Animatron Guru, Bryce, and I will be guiding you through today's topic of interest. We're pivoting in the direction of web banners and advertisements for you guys out there who are into developing your own web ads. This is a perfect webinar for you to be attending. And in a minute here, we'll go over a few things that'll get you prepared from a concept, from creating the concept of your web banner advertisement, preparing your Animatron project for the development of that web banner, and setting everything up so that you can duplicate it and quickly create more banners from the one you've just done. So if you are brand new to Animatron and totally unfamiliar with our software, I highly recommend looking at the description area below our live stream, below the video feed below. And there is a list of details, a couple of hyperlinks for you to check out, especially if you're brand new. There is a hyperlink in the details section that will bring you directly to our playlist, our YouTube playlist of official Animatron tutorials. So I do ask that you check those out if you need any help or need to familiarize yourself with interface items, tools, terminology, anything of the sort. I definitely highly suggest that for you guys. And then for those of you guys who have any questions along the way, who might be interested in learning something about our web development, or sorry, our web banner creation as I'm going along, so topic related questions, I ask that you just throw those into chat whenever, and I'll try to answer those as quickly as I can for you, as accurately as I can. Anybody with off-topic questions, something that's more particular to your own projects, or something that doesn't have to correlate with the current topic that I'm working on, which again is creating your own web banner advertisement, the preparation and setup of your projects. So if you do have those off-topic questions, wait until the end. We have a live Q&A session. You can ask me anything, and we'll definitely try to answer those questions for you and get you on your way working with Animatron. So with no further ado, let's get into it. I'll share my screen here with you. And you should see our Animatron website popping up for you right now. So starting off here with Animatron, obviously you should have an account signed up with us. We do highly recommend, if you are interested in creating your own web advertisements through Animatron, that you do subscribe for our Pro subscription, primarily because there is an export of all HTML files that you would need to directly upload those to Google AdWords, which is exactly what we're trying to eventually get to with this demo today. What this does is it kind of skirts the whole excruciating process of having to go through all of these other agencies, spending all that money, spending all that time trying to get your advertisements out there. With Google AdWords, it makes it so easy for you to just create your own content, upload it, and then choose the amount of money that you would like to spend on your ad campaigns. So to start off here, I'm just going to click on Create Animation. This will start me off with a fresh project. It will leave me with a blank canvas and give us the tools that we need to start developing our own web banners. Now, for you people out there that are not specifically, not relatively aware of our web banner sizes or how you would campaign your web banner sizes, you can always just go directly to Google and type in this information. So what I'm going to do is click on a new, create a new tab, and I'll go to my Google search here. Of course, you can use any search engine you desire, but I'm just going to type in top web banner dimensions. Right, I'm sure thousands of people look at this every day. The one that I really like is top 10 most effective banners. This guy really lays out what each banner is really directed for, what it's best used for. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I want to grab an image so that I can bring it directly into our editor. So I'm going to click on Images for Best Website Banner Dimensions. And the first one here in red, I believe it's through, digitalandwise.com is the website that I'm grabbing this from. So all you have to do is view image, and this gives you the full scale or full sized image that we're going to be going off of, and it gives you the title or basically the what each of these dimensions are for our web advertisements. So this is perfect for bringing it to Animatron because it is an image. Since I already have the image open, I'm just going to go back to Animatron by clicking on our tab here. And I have my folder open. So if you guys have any folders or files that you need to bring directly into Animatron, this is a drag and drop program. So I'll just go to images and look for my web banners. I have a couple of folders here. And here's banner sizes. So I previously downloaded the banner sizes from this page that we just looked up. And all you have to do is find the file, drag and drop it right onto the canvas, and it will drag it appropriately to the size of the canvas. So what we're trying to do here is look into this image, and we are preparing to create this project as a template for all of our following web advertisements. So what you can get started doing is creating these templates inside of our project library. Now to do this, all I'm going to do is go to my toolbar over on the left-hand side, find my shapes tools. Right now, the oval tool is currently up, and you can hold down left click and you'll see the pop out window with all of our optional shapes. And the optional shape that I want to create all of these different templates is the rectangle tool. So I'm going to hold down left click, hover over my rectangle tool and let go. And now I have my rectangle tool active. Now I'm not going to worry about the size or color of my rectangle yet. That really is not the point. The point is that we get these rectangles in the dimension of each one of these banner sizes. So you can go through and create each one of these individually by holding down left click on the canvas and dragging it out onto the canvas. And as you drag, you can see the width and height of the shape that we're currently creating. So instead of trying to accurately create it in your first, drag and drop application, I'm just going to create any size rectangle. I'll show you what I'm doing here. So obviously, if I wanted to do the 3:1 rectangle, 300 pixels by 100 pixels, this definitely is not the right size. But what you can do is, with it selected, just make sure it's selected here. And then under the size parameters up in your inspector panel, you can type in those dimensions by width and height. So I can just click on the number field for my width and type in 300, and then hit tab, go over to my height and type in 100 pixels. And this is the exact pixel dimension. Because the image that we brought in is scaled for the canvas, it downsized it. So for the native size of our 300 by 100 pixel banner, this would be the actual size, is this blue rectangle here. So that's perfect. We know that it's 300 pixels by 100 pixels height. Just so we know that this is locked into place and we can't accidentally resize it, there's a lock for your size parameter. And you just click on that and make sure that that's locked, so that while, if I was trying to resize this, it would uniformly scale it for me. So since I don't want to go past what I'm doing here, 300 by 100 pixels, the next step in getting this 3:1 rectangle banner is going down to my layers, and you'll see the shape that I created. This rectangle shape comes in my layers panel as shape 1. So my first intuition about this is to rename this shape. So I'm going to double click on the tag of that layer, and I will rename it 3. And yes, you can use odd characters in your titles here. So I'm going to do a 3:1, 3:1 rectangle. And I'm just going to do template at the end of it. Let's do banner template. I know I can spell it. There you go. Okay, 3:1 rectangle banner template. And since I have this in my layers panel, it's named, it's properly sized. What I'm going to quickly do is change the fill color of this. And by changing the fill color, it gives me a better understanding of what it is I'm actually looking at. So as we create multiple versions, or as you get used to reusing these, you'll be able to recognize the color that you're dragging and dropping from our project library. So for the sake of our first template here, I'll just make it purple. And now that we know that purple is applied to our 3-to-1 rectangle, every time I go into our project library and bring it into our canvas so that we can use it for our next web banner, you'll easily be able to recognize it by color. And I can also add this color swatch if you wanted to easily choose the color from your swatch list by clicking on this plus symbol. That way, later on, if you ever needed to use that color again, you can always quickly apply it. That's besides the fact. So what I want to do is go to my project library. I'll hover over my market and project library icon down here. It's this little colorful house image. I'll click on this icon, and it will bring us to our marketplace, where we can drag and drop any one of our preset animated objects or shapes or backgrounds. But what I'm trying to access is our project library. This is all of the components that we wish to save to this project. So like I was saying before, we want to create a web banner advertisement template to start with. So I'll go to my project library, and you'll see my project library is kind of devoid of life. There's nothing in it. So that's why we're trying to populate this with all of our different object sizes for these banners. Since I've scaled this properly, my 3-to-1 rectangle banner, I'll select it from the layer, and you'll see it highlighted in blue. And then I'll go up to my project library with this plus symbol, and I'll click on the plus symbol and add it to my project library. Now, if you hover over that object, the one that just got added, you'll see the exact title of the layer that we named. So this is a really quick way to recognize which objects are which, or which banners that we're pulling from our project library. So now that that's in there, I can leave that as is and reuse this rectangle and add a new one to our project library. So what I'll do is I'll click on my cursor, and this will bring us to the parameters of our object. And then I'll go to the next one. And let's say the next one is leaderboard. This one up here at the top right, which is almost like a, it's basically a website, a header banner or advertisement that you'd see at the top or bottom or in between certain segments of the website itself. So because I've already saved this to my project library, I don't need to keep populating new shapes onto my layers. I'll just reuse the one that I currently have. So again, I'm going to unlock my size of my shape, and I want to match these dimensions properly. So the width times the height. So I'm going to click on my width of my rectangle and type in 728. And then hit tab to go to my height and put in 90. So 728 by 90 is my leaderboard size. Since I know that's a leaderboard banner, I can double click on the layer itself. Oop, I want to relock my size just to make sure that that doesn't get out of place. I can also change the fill color. Again, every time we create a new shape, we can create a new color to match that shape, and we'll just recognize that color as we continue to use them in our future projects. So I can double click on the layer again to rename it. It's no longer a 3-to-1 rectangle. It is our leaderboard. So I'll rename it leaderboard banner template. Go back to my project library by clicking on my icon here. Select the object from our layers panel. It's highlighted in blue. And then click the plus symbol so that now gets added to our project library. And here I have leaderboard banner template. So again, I'll go through each one of these as I want to populate our template. And while I am recreating each one of these sizes, I just want to quickly ask you guys who are currently viewing, how did you discover Animatron, and what purposes could you find for using Animatron in your daily life? So if you guys have an answer to that question, please type that into chat. I'd definitely like to hear what you have to say about what you're using Animatron for currently, if you've just discovered it, where you discovered it, and what you plan on using it for. So as I go through here, I'll answer those questions, and you'll see that this process will go relatively smooth. 468 by 60. Get that into my size, rename it. Full banner, enter, change the color, select it, add it to my project library. Let's see, half banner, change my size, 234 by 60, 234 by 60. I'll change the color. Let's do orange. Go to my marketplace, select it. Oh, need to rename it to half banner. Banner template, add it to my project library. And you see this goes pretty smoothly until we populate the entire, essentially the entire image here with all of our different banner template sizes. It'll be easier for us to duplicate this exact project, and we have those preset template sizes in our project library ready to go. So as I was saying before, I'll continue my process. Let's do pop under, which is 720 by 300. Change the color, let's say yellow. Change the title, which is pop under. Enter, add it to my project library. So again, click on my cursor. Vertical banner is 120 by 240. Change the color. Let's say this is bluish gray. Change the tag of my layer. This is vertical banner. So I'll just do this a few more times here with the major ones that we will probably be using in the near future. And let's see, the next one I have is medium rectangle. And again, you guys, wherever you have discovered Animatron from, just let me know. And it would definitely be interesting to hear about where you found or heard of us and where you found out about Animatron to begin with. Les Henderson says he was looking for a new domain name, but we had scooped up Animatron already, and then he had to check us out. That's awesome. Sorry, Les, for stealing your domain, but that's, I guess, what comes with hard knocks on the internet today. Hopefully you found a better name to swap out for your own website. But hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about developing these web ads through Animatron. Again, we're doing the medium rectangle. Vidisha says, found us while Googling tools to create easy GIFs. For anybody who has a selection on the term GIF or GIF, I apologize for using the word GIF or the expression GIF. I say GIF all the time, but it's probably GIF. So easy GIFs for non-designers and non-programmers. That's perfect. You can get a little bit of experience on both, Vidisha, just by following through with our program here, following through with these webinars, and then checking out our website tutorials. And you'll find it's pretty straightforward how to get about creating your own projects. And it could be anything from animations to animated GIFs or GIFs. Or creating slideshows, really creating interactive walkthrough walkthrough media that you're using for classrooms, education for your businesses or little learning modules. Animatron could really be used for a wide variety of things. Let's see, I'm on medium rectangle. And I'll just do this one and the one that we're going to be using in a second here. So again, I just renamed it. I'll add it to my library. And let's go to our last one here that I want to use. So obviously I haven't done all of them, but the last one that I wanted to do here is large rectangle. So I'll just quickly process this, 336 by 280. It has, I really like large rectangle as far as a web ad is concerned because it's got a great deal of space, enough information space for text and images alike. And for animation purposes, it's perfect for being able to express all those different actions and really try to draw your potential customer's eyes to that advertisement. So this is the one I'm going to go with. 336 by 280 is our large rectangle. So I'll just swap out medium for large. That's cool, Vidisha. I'm glad you were able to create these basic animations really easy. It's perfect for what Animatron is used for. So I'll just grab this final large rectangle banner, select it, add it to my project library. So now you see here the reason why I kept changing these colors. Hold on. I should probably change this one because it looks a lot like medium rectangle, and we don't want to confuse the two. So if you have created something, you added it to your project library, like this, for instance, I have my large rectangle banner that I just added, and I have my medium rectangle banner that I added previously, but they're both the same color. And because they're only colors, the reason why we wanted to change their colors in the first place is that so we could easily find them by searching through our project library. But if they look the same and they're the same shape, it's going to be difficult. So what you can do is click on large rectangle. There's a little tag at the top right of the thumbnail. Click on that, and I'll just hit remove, and I'll try re-adding it once I change the color. So again, go back anytime you want to change any of the parameters of your object. Click on the cursor. It's the easiest way to get back to its object parameters. I'll click on the fill color here. And let's see, what color haven't I used yet? Let's use pink. Or maybe let's use like a forest or lime green here. That works. So I'll go back to my project library and select the object and then re-add it to my project library. So there we have a good, radiant, vibrant collection of different banner sizes. And obviously, I would want to recreate every single one of these from the example image that we pulled off the web. But you can always do that on your own time. Just for the sake of speeding up this process, I'm just going to get rid of my large rectangle banner. And because I'm done using this image here, again, if you've always wanted to go back to this later, you can add this to your project library as an image just by selecting it. You can also select it on the layer, banner sizes.gif, and then hit the little plus symbol while you're in your project library. And now that image can always be dragged and dropped out onto your canvas. All right, so we can always access all of that information later on. So for the sake of our banner, for the sake of our template, creating our template to reuse over and over again, first of all, we want to rename it. Oops, sorry, click on the wrong thing. I want to click on the settings of my project. That's this little gear icon to the right of my project name. Currently, it's unnamed. I want to make sure that this is named in my project gallery as a template. So that way I don't write over it or copy over it in any way. So I'll click on the name, rename it. I'll just say Web Banner Ad Template. And if I ever had more templates, I can always create duplicates. But for the sake of making sure that this is the first template I've created, I'll just do a 01 at the end. Now, for you guys who have followed along with me over over the time period that we've been doing these webinars, you might notice that I like to add these little frame buffers, these number buffers at the very end of my layer items, my layer name tags, the names of my projects, because generally, as a designer or as a creator of anything, you're going to have several iterations, and it's always easy to just get in the habit of, this is the very first one I've created. So this is my first template. I always put a 01. So that's just something out of habit that I tend to do with my projects. So now that we have our project named, you'll see the size of the project here after I've clicked on this gear icon to look at my project settings. So we gave it a name, but the size is inaccurate. The size does not match any of the web banner templates that we've created. But the one that we wanted to reuse, or the one that we want to use for our example, is in our project library, and I named it Large Rectangle Banner Template. So I'll click and drag this out onto my canvas, and right now these aren't fully scaling to their original size. But when you go back to, when you drag it to your canvas and when you click on the cursor to look at its parameters, you'll see that it's out of scale. So one of the things that I can do is lock it into place. Oh, sorry. I'll undo that. Actually, there's a quicker way of doing this. So I'll hit Control 0, which basically resets the canvas to its original size. What this means is every time that I drag an object into the canvas, it's going to come in at 100%. So if I click on my my object here, okay, so my scaling is a little off, it would seem. Oh, okay, my scale, sorry, the size of my object is perfect right now, 336 by 280. And that's the size of my large rectangle banner template. So that's what I want to maintain, and I want to make sure that the canvas size of this template is now my large banner. So before doing that, I want to save this project as the template so that I can duplicate the project over and over again. So I'm going to get rid of the one that I just dragged in there. And essentially your template is not going to have anything in it. Just so we know that this is my web banner template, I'm going to use my text tool. I'll just hit T and it'll bring me to my text tool, and I'll type in web banner template 01. And I will just leave that there so that when I see it in my project gallery, it's going to just show me web banner template 01. And that'll just give me that cue, that visual cue from my projects list that this is the template that we're going to be reusing, and not to enter into this project and change anything because it's just a template for now. So in doing that, we've renamed it. We've added our little tag here to make sure we know what it is. And we've added everything to our project library for the sizes of the banners that we will regularly use. Now, in order to make a duplicate of this, I can go to my main menu up at the top left, this little blue rectangle with the drop down, click on it, go to project, and then go to duplicate project. Now what this does is as soon as it's done processing, it'll create a new copy. The easiest way to find out that it is a copy is you look up at the title of the project, Web Banner Ad Template 01 copy. So just so we know that this is no longer a template, this is one that we actually want to use. Obviously, you would name it whatever your web banner was going to be. So let's say I'll rename this now Web Banner Ad Webinar Example. Obviously, you would have your own naming conventions for it. Web Banner Template, we don't need the text anymore. I'll just select it and hit delete. So that way we have a clear canvas. Just to show you that we have our original template in our projects gallery, what you can do is click on this top right icon of, you should have a little image of your, a little preview of your account image at the top right with whatever account status you have. It would be either free, starter, or pro. you can click on this and go to My Projects, and this will create a new tab in your browser, and it will bring up your project gallery. Now, your project gallery, you'll be able to see all of the projects that you've created over time, if you ever need to access them again. And you'll also see the latest ones that you've added to the top left of the gallery. So from the top left to the right, we have Web Banner Ad Webinar Example, which is the one that we want to start to edit. And then the one that we added as our template is right here, Web Banner Ad Template. And you'll see the reason why I added that little line of text. So that way, when I see it in my gallery, I know that this is the template and not to disturb it or not to change anything about it, because that's just the one that we're going to duplicate. If I wanted to duplicate one directly from here, I can click on the preview window, and this will give you a preview of the project that we, the template project that we made. And then I can just click on this little tag here that says duplicate. And once I click on the tag that says duplicate, it'll give me a little pop-up window that says the project has been duplicated, and it will give you a copy extension, template 01 copy from website, and I'll hit OK. Now, if I go back to my project gallery, obviously I have to refresh my page to see it populate. And now we have our new duplicate, the new duplicate template from the account gallery itself. So you don't have to be in the editor to duplicate the project. You can do it directly from your gallery. Now that we have a duplicate, you can click on the preview again. And from here, you'll be able to change everything from the title to any tags that you wish to add, or add a description to the web banner. This way, if you were to present it to, let's say, a client, if you're a small business, if you're an independent contractor or designer who's creating these web banner ads, you could easily add these description and add tags and add comments and even have a discussion with your client through our little text portal here. And I'll show you privacy settings later, but your privacy settings will allow you to only keep these conversations to yourself, only keep these previews to yourself and to your client, and it'll just make it easier for you guys to contact each other and for your client to revisit this and see how your progress is coming along. And they can easily see the preview and hit the play button and see what the banner is looking like. Every iteration that you make, which means every time that I duplicate my project, it has a new ID attached to it. So if you wanted to duplicate this at one point and save a version of it and then work on a separate version, that's where this duplicate button comes into play. So you'd always have this version saved, and then the newest duplicated version saved along the side that you could work on further or progress further, depending on if your client was happy with it or wanted you to change this thing or that thing. So that's a very powerful button, is duplicate. So showing you that, obviously, copy from website. We want to go back to our version that we are ready to edit, which is our webinar example. So I'll click on the tab that we have our webinar example open, and then go to our project library. Again, click on the market icon at the bottom left of the toolbar, and you'll see we have all of our banners here still in the project library, ready for us to just drag and drop in. So again, we want to use large rectangle. This is one of my favorites. I'll drag and drop it onto the canvas, click on my cursor icon to see that the size has maintained properly. And sometimes these come in 100%. Sometimes it's not always scaled properly. Again, if you need to make sure that the canvas is at 100% size, hit Control-0 or Command-0 if you're on a Mac. And then I'll just drag and drop my large rectangle object onto the canvas. Click on my cursor icon. And like I said, sometimes the object size does not stand up, but we're trying to work on getting this coming in 100%. But it's relatively close to the dimensions that we want. So we want 336 by 280. So I'll just rescale it real quick. And the purpose of this is honestly just to know what the dimensions of this banner type are. So large rectangle banner is 336 by 280. With this knowledge, I can go up to my project settings. I'll click on this little gear icon and then change my canvas size to 336 by 280 and hit enter. So this way, I can have this be my template just to easily inform me that I can change my canvas to this size. Now, for you guys out there that are interested in just having this stuff ready to go, we are developing templates for our marketplace. So by meaning, you'll be able to click on your marketplace icon, and we will have templates for these web banners eventually. So that's something that we're currently working on. So stay tuned for that. This is really just a preparation for you to continue working in our current state, in the current state of our editor. So now that we have that information, we have the size of our canvas. I can hide or remove the large rectangle banner. It's no longer necessary. Unless you wanted to create a custom background, I can undo, Control Z. To create the background and have it fill in the canvas, I'm a big fan of using objects as backgrounds because you can always change their effects later on. If you were to change the background of the canvas itself, you're stuck with that background throughout the entire project. Every scene will maintain this background. So if you wanted to have a different background on each scene, so let's say I had 1, 2, 3 scenes here. Every time you were to bring this object, let's see. Every time you were to bring this object into another scene, you would be able to change the color of it. Let's make it yellow. But if we were to change the background color of our canvas, let's do blue, then that background color is persistent through every single scene. Every single scene has a blue background. So as a workaround, I like to just maintain my canvas color as white from the canvas itself, or from the project settings, and have this object become my background. Again, so I can make it, I can duplicate it and change it from scene to scene, and it's always the same size. So what I can do is select the object, and this is where I'll show you aligning objects. Up here at the top right of the canvas area is this little icon, Align and Distribute. If you click on this, you'll get a little pop-down window, and you can align it to the left edge, right edge, or center of our canvas. So I'll do middle and middle, and it will center it 100% to the middle of our canvas. And that way we can use this as our background. So if I wanted to, I can click on my color, go to gradient, and I could choose a gradient that I'd be happy with using. So I could do corner to corner, I could do top to bottom. And if I wanted to change one of the colors, I could click on the node. You'll see this little strand with a little white circle at the top for our white node and our little black circle at the bottom for the black node. I'll click on it, it'll become a little bit larger, and this way you know it's selected. And then I can change the color to something that's a bit more favorable to what I want to show. And then I just hit back, and we can get back to our object parameters. And this is really easy to create objects over and over again. But to basically make them unique to each scene. So again, center to center with our align tool. And then I can customize my background color any way I'd like. Select the color node on the canvas and select the color from our list. And now our color in scene 1 is unique to the background color from scene 2. So obviously with this background, you'd want to rename, let's just name it BG for background. And I'll lock it into place. Most of the time, you're not really going to be moving your background a lot for these animated web banners. So you can just lock them and forget about them. and they're going to stay there. And every time you click on the canvas or click and drag, it's not going to inadvertently move this background image out of the way. So you do the same thing for scene 2. Obviously, rename it background and lock it down. And that's the easiest way to set up each one of your scenes for as long as you need to. So beyond this, let me look here. Okay, so we can also choose, let's say you were to have your own business. Let's say you're working as an independent contractor, as a company, or as an LLC. So if you wanted to denote that you are currently the person working on this project, or you wanted to brand your advertisement in some way, that's when you can always add that logo or your brand into your project library. So one of the things I can do is go to my folder here. I'll just bring my folder up. And I can click and drag. Let me go find a banner image with a logo image rather. And I will click and drag my logo image into my project and add that to my project library. So anytime I needed to access this logo, I can just duplicate this project, and my logo is always there ready for me to drag and drop it and place it onto my project. So that's a very helpful thing to do, especially if you're working consistently with the same company, or branding your own company onto these advertisements or animations, whichever way you'd like to do them. And then fonts. So custom fonts, when we talk about text. So let's just write out a line of text. And you can look up at our fonts here. The very top of our inspector panel has the font of choice. I'll click on it, and we have literally about 1,000, probably about 1,000 fonts in here for you to choose from. There's quite a few, and these are all web-sourced fonts. You can click and scroll through all these fonts, wait for them to load. Just select them, and you'll get a visual of what this font looks like as you click through them. So this is a great way to get an idea of what kind of font you want to use for your current advertisement. But if you wanted to bring your own font in, you couldn't find a specific font in here. So one thing I found earlier was a font called Princess, Printcess. And we don't have it because it's not a web-based font. This is a custom font that's been developed by someone else out there in the world. So what you can do to discover your own fonts, or if you don't find any in our standard, our font library here in Animatron, you can always go to a website like dafont, DAFONT.com. And by going to dafont, you can type in and search or just scrub through any one of these styles of font and use those custom fonts in Animatron. So like I said before, I found a custom font that I was really fond of called Princess. So I'll just type that into the search field here, and we'll instantly get that. You can, through dafont, you can type in an example. So if I was to click on this, you can type in an example piece of text, and it will give you that entire piece of text. So let's do something like that, and it will give you the resulting nature, and that was all cap locks. And it does change if it is case sensitive. Right, so it'll give you all those case sensitive features, and if you just look through here, it also give you the special characters that's part of the font itself. So if this is a font you wish to use, there's always a download button. Again, the font is 100% free. So if you really are using something for web-based advertisements, this is the way to go. Also, if you if you look at the amount of people that have used this font in their projects or just have downloaded them, you can see how popular the font is or how unique the font is if there's very few downloads. So I'll just click on download, and it will download it in a zip file to wherever your default downloads are. I already have this file open in the folder that I've been sourcing all of my media from, or all my assets from. So I'll go back to Animatron, and in order to get a custom font in here, I'll open the folder that I have the font in. I think it's in here. Oh, it's in fonts. Here it is, Princess. So I downloaded it. It gives me this zip file. On the Mac, on PC, you just right-click and extract here, and it will extract it to the same folder. This just so happens to be a TrueType font, which is a .ttf file format, which is quite perfect for our needs inside of the Animatron editor. So now that I've unzipped my file, I have the TTF file in my folder. I can go into Animatron, click on Import. We have a new fancy Import button up here, right where my cursor is. Click on that. I can bring my folder back up, and with this dialog box open to drag in files that we want to bring into Animatron, I can just click and drag my TrueType font right directly into this little marquee field, this drag and drop field here, and let go. And it has put it into our font list. So in order to access it, I'll click on the text that I just wrote, click on font, and look at uploaded. There's a tab here that says uploaded. And here we have Princess, right? So any custom font is going to be in the uploaded tab. So if I ever wanted to source this again in the next scene or the scene after, I could just go to my font library, click on uploaded, and it's going to be the one at the very top here. So now I have my string of text. I'll go back. I can change everything from the size of the font. If there's an italicized version of it, it will show up under our options here, or a bolded version or a skewed version. You can underline, bold, or italicize directly. You can center the text. Everything you'd expect from text editing in general is going to be right here in the inspector panel. Now, the other part about this is that text through the web, as Animatron renders it in our final product, has some issues with support through the browser. So in order to make sure that this is refined and we don't lose any of the definition of the font, we want to turn it into a vector image. So our font itself, what if the font is somewhere on your own computer? I likely have thousands. Yes, Les, if you have your own fonts, as long as they are in these import formats, TTF, TrueType font, OTF, and WOFF, you can always drag and drop those fonts directly into this drag and drop field, and it will throw it into this uploaded text library. Yep, exactly. So in order to make sure that this text itself, because text is very wonky the way it renders after the fact, we just want to kind of do a pre-phase to make sure that it doesn't look deformed or look blurry when it comes to animating this text later on if it were to move across the screen in any way. So in order to do that, I'll select my font, and you'll see it selected on my canvas here. I'm going to hide the background because it's kind of hard to see the selection field. That should be a little bit easier. So I can right-click on the text directly on the canvas. And then in my context menu, go to the very bottom, you'll see an option that says convert to text, or convert text to shape. And what this does, you won't see too much happen. It might move a little bit, but that's to be expected. What this is actually doing is taking the font as it appears on the canvas and converting it into vector files. So if you wanted to take font that you typed out, It's almost the opposite effect of, let's say, Adobe Photoshop, where you brought in a piece of text that you typed out, and instead of keeping it as a text object, you can actually turn it into a bitmap by rasterizing it. This is the opposite effect, or I wouldn't say the opposite effect, but this is the effect of turning it into a vector file or a vector shape, which gives you a lot of breathing room because, one, with a vectorized piece of text, I'll zoom in. To show you what I just did here, I have the object selected, right? This is text. I have this object selected. It's only one layer on my layers panel. If you hover over it, because I converted the text to shape, you can edit the group by clicking right here on this little pencil icon on the preview thumbnail of the layer. So left click on this little pencil icon, and it brings you inside this text object. So it looks like text on the canvas, looks like it's written out how we had written it through the text tool. But underneath here, you see all the layers. Now you have access to individual shapes. Now this is really powerful because in a lot of other programs, you're kind of held to these being all in one object, or you have to do a lot of work to cut them and paste them into their own layer if you so desired. So this way, they're vector shapes, right? If you can test if something is a vector by clicking on our direct selection tool and then clicking directly on the object itself. And you see by clicking on it, it shows us all of the nodes, all of the vector nodes that we can deform and move around on our, if we desired. So if we desire to change the shape of this piece of text in any way, we can always deform it to our desire and really create something unique that the original font just wasn't giving us. So obviously, I'm not really putting too much thought into it. But if you wanted to give this more of a little bit of character, because it's a vector shape, it's infinitely scalable. So for anyone who's aware of SVG files, scalable vector graphics, you can bring these into any vector program and render them or print them even, and they will stay the same exact size. You'll see as we zoom in here, a lot of the deformation becomes a little bit more visible. But anytime you see one of these nodes, you can click and drag them. They give you Bezier handles so that you can change the curvature of that node from one node to another. And even more powerful so is clicking directly on the line. I guess I might have to click off of it first. I guess right now, because I'm inside the group, there's a little of an issue going on. So we'll have to look into that. That might have been a bug I just discovered, which happens from time to time. But the idea is that because these are vector shapes, our font is now separated, which means we can animate each one of these shapes individually. And we can add a little bit more creative flair to your animated web banners. So that was text, basically custom creating text or custom importing text. Let's see. For scenes, let's look into scenes and scene timing. So if you look at the top right here, we have different scenes that we've created. This is our scene inspector right here. It gives you the title of the scene or the name of it. So scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. And you can always change the name of the scene if you wanted to be more specific about them. Or you can add new scenes by clicking on the little plus symbol. You can duplicate scenes by selecting the scene itself and clicking on the duplicate scene button. So this creates an exact copy with all of the layers from the scene that we had selected before, and it saves it at the same scene duration. So scene duration is this little number underneath the name of the scene. If you double click on it, you can tell it to play, and this is by seconds. If you hover over it, it says how many seconds. So let's say 2 seconds. I can enter 2, and if you look down here on our timeline, It's not extremely noticeable at first, but this little gray triangle here on the timeline with the red line under it is our scene duration flag. Now you can click and drag this along the timeline and let go, let's say at 3 seconds. And now if you look back up at the scene, our new scene duration is 3 seconds. So you can directly control it through the scene itself, or you can just click and drag it on the timeline, which tells this scene to only play up to 4 seconds. Right? So if I hit enter, it will give you an exact preview of how fast it will play on the timeline, and it will stop at 4 seconds. So that's scene duration. Let's see. So I covered convert to shape and image sizes. Okay. So this is one for you guys out there who have played around with importing your own images. This is something that a lot of people get bothered by from time to time because they don't understand how the image comes into Animatron and how it's ultimately rendered. So I have a number of images I want to bring in here, and I'll show you importing images. I'll click on my nifty import button. I can either select files directly from the computer, or I can bring up my own folder. I'll go back to my image files here, and I'll drag in, let's say, these two guys here. So I'll bring in my cactus image and my googly eyes. And with those selected in my folder, I'll just click and drag them into this little drag and drop area and let go. If you have multiple files selected, it will show you an image sequence dialog box. This is for you guys out there who have pre-animated image sequences. That means an animated character or object or something that occurs over several frames. You can tell each frame if they're in sequence. Like I said, 01, 02, 03. If you have images that are supposed to occur in sequence and play like an animation, that's what this image sequence dialog is for. So you can set the duration per image of how many seconds each image shows up for. Because I don't need an image sequence currently, I can just hit ignore. It will bring my two images onto my canvas, and you'll see that they were placed on my timeline on the second marker that my playhead was at. So they don't exist up to 4 seconds because my playhead was currently at 4 seconds. So in order to reset them back to 0, I can just click and drag the object on the timeline and reset them to 0 seconds. So now that they appear on the canvas at the start of this project or the start of the animation. I have two objects in here. Now, the one thing that you're going to notice is, excuse me. The one thing that you're going to notice is the image quality. So I have one image, if you click on the cactus, came in at 159, just about 159 by 280 pixels, which is fine, but it's a large scale image. If I was to look back at my folder and look at the dimensions, I'll just hover over the object in my folder. It's a PNG that's supposed to be 227 by 400 pixels. So because the canvas size is smaller than the image that I imported, it's trying to append it to the canvas. So it comes in automatically smaller. You'll see the scale of my object, right? This is my cactus object. I'll hide the eyes. With the object selected, I'll look at the parameters of it or the settings of it, and it comes in at 70% by 70%. So for you guys that are using predetermined images or logos from other companies or any images that you've brought in from the web, you can always check the natural scale of the image, and it will tell you what the absolute scale of that image is by selecting it. Now, I can bring this back up to 100. It's important to note that because the size of my image is locked, the width and height are locked, I'll type in my scale to 100%. and it will automatically change the height percentage as well. So this is the native size of this image. But when you zoom in, it becomes blurry. And the reason being because if you are zoomed into your canvas, any image, even though it is scaled larger or smaller, will have a little bit of edge deformation. Now, in order to see the native size of what our web banner is going to look like, again, Control-0 brings your canvas to the center, and it gives you 100% of the size of that image as you're supposed to see it. So now that I see this image at 100% size, it's perfectly visible. There's no edge blurring. Only if I were to scale this image up. So let's say I was to animate my cactus from its original size up to, let's say, 200%. And I was to render this to see how this was going to look. So what I could do is click on my preview. So for you guys out there who are putting these scenes together, these projects together, in order to preview your web banner or animation or whatever you're creating inside of Animatron, you could click on the name of your project up here. You'll see it's underlined and highlighted in blue. Click on it, and it will bring you to the project page. And you'll see now that it's expanded, the image becomes blurry. And because I have multiple scenes, it will go, you'll see my timeline will just play through. It will go from scene to scene for however many seconds each scene was set for their scene duration. So this is the quickest way to set up your web banner, understand text, understand how images come in into the software itself, into the canvas. Also, how to break apart your text. We've covered importing images, importing custom fonts, and we've also covered creating a template so that you could reuse this time and time again. So this is a very, very handy tool for you guys who are creating your own web banners. Now, I'm not going to get into creating the entire web banner since we're just about over time here. I really got carried away with showing you guys all this fun information. So hopefully you guys took a lot away from this webinar. I hope you're learning a lot about Animatron. And we'll get on to our live Q&A session in just a moment here. But before we get into that, I just want to say that, what was I getting to? Yes, logos. Okay, so before we get into the QA session, the one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about were logos. Logos have text in them. Logos have images in them. So I'm going to hide my cactus. We don't need cactus anymore. I do have a logo that I brought in, my business logo, right? Generic business logo. Now, like I was saying about image size, if you bring your object in and it is scaled very small, you're going to get this blurriness. If you were to animate an image, a logo image specifically with blurriness, it becomes an issue because it's very distracting to the eye and it doesn't look professional. It doesn't look or feel professional. So what I'm trying to get at is come join me at our next webinar next week, next Wednesday at 11 a.m. and I will go over how to vectorize your business logo. So like I was saying about SVG images, scalable vector graphics, anything that is created in vector and exported in vector can be infinitely scaled up or down for any media that you're trying to present it on, so that you never lose the definition of the exact logo, especially the logo of your business, because that's what you really want to be showing people is who created it, who you're buying from, what is the brand that I'm trying to access. All right, so tune in next week for recreating your business logos in vector graphic. If they are JPEG or PNG or old logos, we can just easily go through here and recreate this image with our vector tools. So that's for you business, independent business guys, independent contractors, or people who are trying to or have clients that only give you JPEG images to work with, I'll show you how to quickly go through here and try to recreate that logo without too much hassle. So with all of that said, and with all this preparation and setup given to you, you should just be able to go right back into, let's see here, which one of these? Oh yeah, here's my project gallery. So again, to get to your project gallery from the editor, at the very top right of the editor, click on your profile image, and a little drop-down menu shows up, and you just click on My Projects, creates a new tab that opens up all of your projects in its own gallery. And this will essentially give you the ability to duplicate and preview and see all of the projects that you've previously worked on. And again, clicking on any preview, you can change the name right in the preview. You can duplicate it. You can edit it, go back to the editor from this preview window. You can publish the HTML5 preview, which is a clip that that Animatron hosts for you so that you can just see what the HTML5 video looks like. And then you can also add tags, add a description, and comment, and then invite anybody that you want to directly here. And if your web banner looks cool enough and you want to share it to everybody, always click on this Share on Social Networks, and you can just get a link directly to your social networks. If it's an animation, if it's a slideshow, if it's just something that you're having fun with and you want to show somebody through social media, you can just quickly do it through this little share icon here. Okay, so that's pretty much wrapping up our preparation for web banner advertisements. So if you guys would like to see how I can further create this web banner, animate it, bring in images, really function inside of our project and really create a web banner that you can use, you should come to our webinar on the, I believe it's the 18th. Hold on, let me check on that date for you. Yeah, so November 18th, we're going to be covering how to finalize this web banner, test it, and place it onto Google Ads. So this will finally round out how you guys, can start creating your own web banners with Animatron and then finalize them and have your own ads ready to go. So for you guys out there, let's go into our live Q&A session. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to throw those into chat right now. I would love to answer your questions as you come up with them. If you don't have any questions off the top of your head, what encouraged you guys to pick up Animatron in the first place? What was the concept that you were looking to develop that you thought Animatron might be the answer to? And while I'm waiting to hear your guys' responses, what I can do is copy these URLs and then paste them into chat. So that you guys will have access to all of this information that I just shared with you. So that's for banner ads, banner sizes and dimensions. Although you store all the projects on your servers, is there any way to back them up locally in case of a server farm implosion? Well, hopefully we don't have an implosion anytime soon, Les. But if you do want to save your own projects, all you have to do is go to your editor, go up to your main menu here, click on the main menu, go to Project tab, and download, where did it go? Download as ANM file. So for one, an ANM file is Animatron's custom format. So if you download it, it will download it as the name of your project, .anm. So whenever we get our servers back up and running, you don't have to worry about your project being lost. You'll always have a physical version of it that you can drag and drop. scoot my browser out of the way. You can drag and drop this A&M file onto your desktop, and then you can bring it back into Animatron later by clicking on the main menu, Project, Upload from A&M file. So what I could do is drag and drop it. Actually, let's see if I can do it directly from here. Oh, that may not have worked. Okay. Let's see if I can drag and drop it from my desktop. Right here. We may have to give this a little bit to process. If not, sorry, I'm getting a little trigger happy here. There we go. So again, click on the main menu, go to Project, Upload from A&M, select File, select it from your, well, preferably from your desktop, you know where it is, or whatever file you choose to save this A&M file to. Double click, and it will open this project inside of this editor. There's no current loading. Sorry, there's no current loading image or animation for you to see that this is coming in. But as far as I can see, the cursor is flickering, which means there's a lot of things happening in the background. So just give it a while and it should pop up. If you have something that's named exactly the same, you can always test if this is adding it properly by, again, going to your account projects gallery by clicking on your profile icon up here and going to My Projects. And you'll see how many times this has been duplicated. But in the meantime, here, let's see if we can do that from a new project. If I was to create a new project, click on Upload A&M and see if I can drag and drop the A&M file in here. We may get a better result. So if this is something where we're having a little issue, this may be a bug that I have to record and make sure that we get this updated as soon as we can so that you guys can save your projects and make sure that you can upload them at later times. But this is the way you would do it. You would download the A&M file and then you would upload it directly into our editor. So I'll give this a few moments to see if this will actually catch up with it. If you're talking about rendering the clip, rendering the actual published HTML file, this is why I suggested at the beginning of our demo that you subscribe for a pro account, because with a pro account, what you can do is click on our download button and download HTML5 code. And by doing this, you'll see the name of the project and everything associated with the project dumped into a zip file. So if you ever needed to access pieces of font or images that you had included in your project, here, let me do this with one of my previous ones. Yeah, that's a good point, Les. Actually, let me see if I can change the name of this and it will upload it in a different manner. Let's see, Web Banner Advert webinar example. Let's see if that works. Les, you may be really good at quality assurance, so make sure to send your information into feedback@animatron.com, and you may be able to help us troubleshoot some of these things. Here, let me see if we can get that. So we've renamed it. Let's see if that actually works. Would be a brilliant solution. Hopefully that's something that we can look into. If not, again, that's something that our devs can always look at. But these things happen from time to time. Again, guys, we are a web application, so it's pretty easy to run into issues like that. The quickest way to get resolutions for issues that happen in this way is to go up to this little question mark icon at the top right. And if you click on it, we'll bring you to a direct link to our feedback email. If you have any questions, you can contact us directly by clicking here and entering your question directly through the editor. And then if you're on the website, you can always ask us anything. Click on this little blue side banner at the bottom right, and same thing. You'll get access to our knowledge base knowledge base articles that you can just type in if you're curious about certain terminology or certain functionality or tools. You can type those in here. Let's see, tween. If I was interested in how to create a tween for you guys who are coming over from Adobe Flash, so you can click on some of these articles. They'll show up here and they'll give you little hints and ideas of how to create your first tween. And there's a lot of other articles attached to our knowledge base. But aside from that, you can just click on contact us from the website and it does the same exact thing. That'll send it to our feedback@animatron.com email. So that's the quickest way to contact us if you're having issues trying to do stuff like this where it's not functioning properly. So thanks, Les, for having me show you that, because it actually, for me, discovered a bug that we definitely have to prioritize. So thank you very much for that. So if anybody has any other questions, please just shoot those through chat, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. For those of you guys out there, I'll ask you another question here. Are you a first-time attendee for our weekly Animatron webinars? Are you here with us, with me, the first time in our weekly Animatron webinar? And if so, how did you hear about it? You throw up this DeFont website for you guys too. That's defont.com for you guys that are interested in accessing all these cool custom fonts online. Les, does Google have a 4-second animation loop limit? Google, are you talking about previewing it in Google Plus? Are you talking about Google AdWords for looping animation? Which format also? I think there's actually more of a limit on the size. I could be wrong on this because I haven't used Google AdWords too much. I don't really have too much of my own products or businesses to be offering on it. Yeah, I think AdWords, as far as I know, is primarily the end file size, or what the file size is of that zip folder. So that's something that you can look into individually. You can just go to Google, type in Google AdWords, and look at their frequently asked questions, because I'm pretty sure that's something that a lot of people are curious about. Yeah, and just go down to, let's see. How it works, that might be the best way. I haven't poked around with Google AdWords too much lately. So again, I really do think it's just the size of the advertisement. I don't really think there's a limitation on how many times or how many seconds the animation can go for. I think it's based on the size of, or the dimension size of the advertisement, but also the actual physical file size. So again, if I were to go to, let's say I went to my project that we just created here. And we'll see what the end result file size is. So I'll download, again, with the Pro account, you'll be able to download your HTML5 code, which is perfect for uploading to AdWords. Give it just a moment. And let's see if I have this. Yeah, some video ads are like a minute. Exactly. It depends on the source that it's being viewed in. Oftentimes, a lot of these individual companies or social media networks really have that limitation because they can't show too many of too high, uh, too large of a file size. Oops. Okay, let's see. Let's try putting it in here and see where we're coming from here. So if I look at the size, 291 kilobits, kilobytes. Yeah. So let's go back here and see Google AdWords file limit. A very good question, because these are things that will affect if the ad is being able to be viewed or not. One of the things that we discovered earlier last week was that adding custom fonts attaches the new font file into this zip folder, making it too large for it to be used on AdWords. So let's see what we have. Image sizes for image ads. So the size limit for all image ads is 150 kilobytes. So I guess that's a single image. And if that is the case, that this file is too large, this zip file is too large, let's create a new folder here just so I'm not dumping everything out into my folders here. And we'll just say this is Web Banner Ad Test. I'll unzip or extract my zipped folder into this new folder, and we'll see what we get. So we have the cactus image, the eyes, the business, the exact font that we use, this WOFF font. So if there is something in here that seems too large for us to actually utilize, we may have to think about using smaller images or a different font, or get rid of the font completely, which is where vectorizing that font comes into place. That's where I right-clicked on the text on the canvas and converted that text to shape. So it will apply that to vector shapes. It won't apply it to an exact font file. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, but you can look through these, and there are definitely ways to optimize your folders. And I think we'll definitely have to do either a tutorial or a webinar on optimizing these zip files, because that is definitely affecting. That definitely does affect whether or not AdWords allows you to upload it or not. Yeah, so Les says animation length must be 30 seconds or shorter. Animations can be looped, but the animations must stop after 30 seconds. So that's the limitation. Thank you so much for that, Les. That's pretty cool to know. And animated GIF ads must be slower than 5 frames per second. That's pretty limiting. I come from an animation background, and I don't think I could deal with anything less than 12 frames per second. So I guess that's really particular to which programs you're uploading it to. So there are limitations. That is one thing to take away from it. But this is a way that you would be able to customize your own ads. Honestly, if you just wanted to do image by image, nothing too extreme, to upload and use as your own advertisement, your own web ad for your own business, personal business, or as an independent contractor or a do-it-yourselfer. Okay, so all right. So before we go, do you guys have any more questions for me? I'd definitely love to hear your input, hear about what you're thinking about Animatron, how to use Animatron, what's the best way to go about learning. Honestly, I could give you guys a lot of information here. The best time to ask it is now, because it's live. The more people that we get in on these live webinar sessions, the more interesting questions you guys can come up with. And again, Les, thank you so much for your interaction here, because now we've learned a lot about using Google AdWords and the limitations on uploading these web banner projects into AdWords to use for your own businesses. So with that, I'd like to say that Animatron would really love to motivate you guys to be a bit more active in our online community. So you can post in our forum. We have a live forum if you go to the Animatron website and click on forum. And in our forum, you'll have access to all of the questions that people have asked previously. Anything, any little bits of news that you need to keep up to date with. And you'll be able to click into these forums and answer questions as well. So to create a lot more lively community, we really invite you guys to come join our forum. Literally just log in with your Animatron account and start typing, create a new topic, or answer other people's topics, or post inside of those threads. The more active you are in posting, the more milestone. We're trying to integrate some sort of milestones for you guys. So the more active you are, the possibility of getting spotlight forum posts, or even possibly discounts, Animatron discounts, by being more active inside of our forum. This is things that we're going to be integrating in the very near future. So we definitely invite you to be a part of the Animatron community through that. We'd also love to hear your suggestions on webinar topics, because that's the only way that I really I can develop this information for you guys. So it's a little bit more personable. If you have more specific questions for me, it's the best way to get your one-on-one interactions and answers for any particular problems that you might be having, or just questions off the top of your head. And also suggestions. If you guys have suggestions for us, for our editor, for our website, for anything involving animation and Animatron together, we definitely love to hear your feedback. And the quickest way to do this, let me minimize my googly eyes, guys, here. The quickest way to give us your feedback is to create an email and send it into feedback@animatron.com. And by doing so, it will give us, give us the insight of the questions that are circling around your head, and things that you can't figure out on your own. We'd love to help you get answered, and as quickly as possible. And again, feedback@animatron.com. We'll definitely like to take your comments, questions, and suggestions. And if you'd like to do that from our editor, click on this little question mark icon up here. It'll give you access to our knowledge base, which is a series of articles that has a lot of information about the editor and the website in general. Or you can just contact us directly, and by entering your questions here, attaching any relevant files that you may think are relevant to the question that you have in mind, or your project is throwing up notifications and you don't understand them, you can just attach those files there and send those questions into us. And this is the most effective way for us to be able to quickly answer any questions you have. So with that, I would like to ask anybody out there, if you are active bloggers, or would like to develop some articles for our blog, some guest blogs, we'd love to have you write some guest blog posts for us. If you are active bloggers, we definitely welcome your blogs that would be specific towards animation or web development, anything that you can use Animatron for. We would like to host those guest blogs for you. So what you can do is send us a draft of your guest blog to feedback@animatron.com, with the subject line being guest blog post first draft. We'll take a look at your draft, and if we're adamantly happy about it, we'll definitely let you know, and we will showcase your written masterpiece on our blog. So to access our blog, go to our main website and look for blog at the top header. And this will give you the most up-to-date information about all the things that are occurring with Animatron and with animation, or anything having to do with anything in between. So you can look at our blog and see all the current news that we have for you guys, any of the latest announcements, any of the things that we've been doing to stay active in the community. And of course, we'd love to have your guest blog posts on here, because the more information that you guys share, the more that we can get our names out there and have a lot more people using Animatron and talking about it. So it's a really great way to get the word out. And especially for all you guys who are really into Animatron and want to be an active part of having Animatron grow, so that you guys can have a better tool to use on the internet. I welcome you to like, follow, and share our Animatron YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, I'll post into chat here. I'll literally just go to YouTube. Oh, I didn't sign in. Sign in. Okay, well, I had it open before. Hold on, let's see if I can get this to work. I can copy a link. Any of you guys who are interested in following us or staying up to date, like, follow, and share our YouTube channel, our Facebook, and our Twitter pages. And this will help our community to thrive and grow bigger, so that you guys can really get the best or get the most out of this program. And we appreciate all of the interactions that you had with us today, all the questions. You guys are doing really awesome to help this continue to go on. So for next week's webinar, again, we'll be looking into vectorizing your own business logos. And in doing so, we'll be able to finalize our web banners that we will continue on November 18th. So a follow-up of today's webinar, where we will finalize, test, and upload our projects to Google AdWords, and show you guys how to make the best out of your Animatron projects creating these web banners. All right, if there are no further questions, I have been your Animatron Guru, Bryce. I'd love to see you again next Wednesday, again at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, for the next weekly Animatron webinar. We'll be covering vectorizing business logos, or logos in general, JPEG or PNG images that are just too blurry or degraded to scale to larger size. And I'd like to thank you guys very much for following along today. And thanks again for your questions. They really help us out to develop more understanding to everybody in the community to make the best of Animatron for their current projects. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.